Perfecting pavlovas. I know a lot of you out there want to know the tips and tricks, so I'm going to show you how to make mine so it's crispy on the outside and marshmallow-like in the center. So we're going to start with the eggs. Your eggs need to be at room temperature, and I've got 4 egg whites here. You also don't want your eggs to be too fresh. In fact, whenever I'm using my egg yolks, I reserve my egg whites and I pop them in the freezer. They make the best meringues. Of course, be sure to thaw them and bring them back to room temperature. So the 4 egg whites go into a stand mixer, and I think a stand mixer makes all the difference here because we're really going to be able to whisk these egg whites until they're light and fluffy. The more air we get into this, the fluffier, the crispier it's going to be. So I'm going to turn the mixer on, start getting some air into those egg whites, and then little by little we're going to add the sugar. You don't want to be adding all the sugar at once, so a tablespoon at a time is what we're after until we get these really light and marshmallow-like. All right, after you've let the mixer do all of the hard work, it's time to add the stabilizers. So I like to use a combination of corn flour and white vinegar, and you don't want to whisk this in. I actually like to just fold it in with a large spoon. So in with the corn flour, and to that we'll also add our vinegar. And we're just going to gently fold that in. Cloud-like and fluffy, just right. Now, another key little test to make sure that your meringue is ready to go is just to get a little bit on your finger and press it between your fingers. Now, if it's quite smooth and not too grainy, you know that the sugar has been incorporated really well. I don't know if you've ever tried to make meringues and it's slightly weepy after it's cooked. The reason that is happening is because you haven't whisked that long enough, so the sugar hasn't had time to dissolve into those egg whites. Okay, you can just dollop this onto your tray, but if you want to make it just a little easier and tidier, I've got a piping bag. I'm just going to cup that over my hand and scoop this beautiful cloud-like mixture into the piping bag. Now, you can make a large family size one, you can make small ones. I'm going to make medium ones. And so I've just traced with a pencil a 10-centimetre ring onto some baking paper. And we're just going to press down our fluffy meringue, and then we're just going to trace around the ring and then just fill that up. Beautiful. Pile that on just so they're all the same size so they cook evenly. Then I'll just grab a spoon and we can just make them into little nests. So just hollow them out slightly so we can add some cream later on. And you can be slightly rough with it so it forms little waves and peaks like this. It's just going to make it extra crispy. So I'm going to continue doing this, and it goes into the oven, a low temperature oven, so 120 degrees. And these are going to take about 50 minutes to an hour. Another important step is not to take them straight out of the oven after they're crispy. Just leave the oven ajar and let them cool completely in the oven before you take them out. Look how perfect they are. See that? Crispy. I don't want to press on it too hard because I don't want them to break, but the exterior is crispy and I know it's going to be fluffy in the center. So toppings, I'm going to keep it very simple with 3 fruits and a stunning cream with ricotta through it. I do want to thaw out my passionfruit pulp, so I've got 3 of these little blocks. They'll just thaw out while we make our cream. Now, ricotta is a stunning addition to the whipped cream, so I'm going to add 200 grams of really good quality ricotta into my mixing bowl, and I'll also add the cream, about 200 mils too, so same amount. We need some sweetness in here, so some icing sugar and vanilla bean paste. A good teaspoon is what I'm after. All right, that goes back onto my mixer with the whisk attached. And we're just going to whip this until it's smooth and creamy. And while that's happening, I'll prepare the rest of my fruit. I have some beautiful strawberries and a perfectly ripe pineapple. right, now for the fun part, which is building the pavlova. So the strawberries are finely chopped, some fresh pineapple. We've got that passion fruit pulp. I'm just going to add a few spoonfuls of the passion fruit pulp to the fruit and just give that a mix. I'm not adding any extra sweetness to this. You kind of want this to be tart, tangy, and super fresh because the sweetness is coming from the meringue and the cream that we've whipped together with our ricotta. Sensational. Okay, we're going to place one of these onto a plate. We'll grab a generous spoonful of our ricotta meringue. Now, it is going to be heavier than a classic whipped cream, so just be really gentle when you place it into the meringue because it is quite delicate. It's holding its shape quite nicely, actually. We're just going to spread that out. Again, just making a little hole in the centre there so the fruit sits, and then we'll top that with the fruit. Oh, doesn't that look good? I kind of like a meringue that doesn't have lots of different colours in it. We've got the two colours here, the yellow and the red. Sometimes when you put kiwi fruit into it, it just looks a little bit 90s, I think. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that, but I think this one looks absolutely stunning. There's a debate, where does the pavlova originate from? New Zealand, Australia, you know what? I don't care where it comes from. I just know that is one of the world's best desserts. Crunchy on the outside, marshmallow in the centre, that luscious cream, tangy fruit. Doesn't get any better than that.